Everyone, welcome to the Nuremberg Messe podcast. I'm your host, Shanakshi Chakrabarti, and this is the one-stop platform where we bring you all the industry insights with industry experts themselves. Today, in this very special podcast, we are in the city of dreams at the financial capital of the country in Mumbai, where we discuss all things film, media, and entertainment. When it comes to the media and entertainment industry, there is a new technology every single day that we can talk about. But have we ever thought about those certain companies that have been in the business for over 2 to 3 decades? I am sitting in one such office where a father and son duo together are creating a revolution in the industry, in the media and entertainment industry. I am sitting with the son here. His name is Mr. Priyan Parab. Priyan, thank you very much for taking out the time to speak to us on this podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sonakshi, for inviting me for this podcast, and it's a pleasure being here.
Priyan, in fact, it is important that we tell our audience, our viewers and listeners, that media and entertainment industry is just not limited to song and dance. It is so much beyond that.
Absolutely.
And the most important thing that goes into it is the action that takes place behind the camera, not the action that you see in front of the camera. So today we are at the Cineom office in Mumbai, Cineom Broadcast India Pvt, where we will be discussing all things related to the technology that Cineom is pioneering in this field. Priyan, for the uninitiated, what is the Cineom story? Take us through the journey.
Well, so we say that we are a 23-year-old young company, not an old company. And it's been 23 years into the journey for Cineom in the media and entertainment industry. So Cineom started with the inception of three engineers meeting together back in the year 1999. And this all three engineers were a part of technical organizations which were back then serving the broadcast and the media and entertainment industry. And they thought of coming together and forming Cineom. The year 2000, 24th January 2000, Cineom as a company was born. Right? The intention behind formation of Cineom from then since now has always remained, the forefront of customer service. Because back then, the ideology of Mr. Shailesh, Vinayak and Paresh, the three founders while forming Cineom, was always that there were many people back then in those early years who used to sell technology, but very few could help customer operate that technology, leverage that knowledge of operation, as well as provide post-sale support. And not every kind of technology provider, rather we call them OEMs, which are based outside India and US, etc. They are not able to provide the service right to the Indian market. So there was a gap and a requirement to provide the on-prem services, the L1 support, and that's how the ideology was formed that Cineom should be in the picture where we concentrate on the services and sales. So service first and then sales.
Service first and then sales, which brings me to the question, Priyan, who is your target audience? Or in fact, if you can just rephrase that, when it comes to your services, what is your target segment? Please elaborate on that.
See, the target segment for us at Cineom becomes everything and each particular item in the media and entertainment industry today. So majorly we target at a sector of broadcast. Then we dive into the film segment. Post that we have the post-production segment where we have video post-production and audio post-production. We also have a digital services where we provide the turnkey services as a BOT model as well as full-fledged services to the customers. And then we have our IT business while we expand. So there are multiple verticals or the target markets we would look at in the industry.
That's interesting. In fact, which also brings me to that one point which I think you're not mentioning yourself, but I will. Cineom was in fact a pioneer in building the first virtual production test lab in Mumbai. Priyan, that is great. That is fantastic. But take us through that.
Well, it's been an interesting journey with virtual production. So, while we're talking about virtual production, I'll just like to give you a snippet about the change the industry, wanted to witness. And this change, rather, we always see in the M&A industry every 10 to 12 years.
Right.
So, going back to the days in 2012 when Cineom introduced the digital camera in the market. So it was the same era, I would say, when the analog had to go off, and in a day's time, everyone had to shift from analog to digital. People started loving the new technology. Yeah, a lot of old film processing facilities had to shut down because, let's say, the negative was gone over the night. So, but yeah, people did accept the new technology. We helped people accept it. We did a lot of demos. We went to their facilities. We showed them what digital is,
Right.
and it was absorbed. So, coming to virtual production, now something similar happened because virtual production is something what I say, or rather, it kind of got converted in the pandemic era that you need not go on location to shoot, but you can shoot in your own studio, creating all the locations you need. So, or rather, we always call it this way that you can see the version of the content almost 6 months earlier on the set than the post production process. So, virtual production, the ideology came in my mind after watching Mandalorian do it in US, Disney rather,
Right,
on Mandalorian show. And that time we had absolutely no resources and skill sets to implement virtual production in India. And that's when, with the kind of ideology and mindset, I ended up being at Famous Studios, and I met one of my friends over there, Parth, who was doing motion capture over there earlier. And in just kind of a tea coffee conversation, I shared my idea with him that why not set up this virtual production lab at Famous Studios.
Right.
So we talked to the studios, we got the space on rent. I ended up managing all the technology part. We started setting up the pipelines. We worked overnight for almost 2 months, and we bought everything together. There were many missing links because again, the technology was with the Western world. We were completely new at it. We didn't know how to go about it.
Right.
And eventually, after a lot of testings of over 2 months, we had a success in integrating all the workflows. So virtual production is a big word. It has multiple workflows and processes, right from motion capture, in-camera VFX, on-set visualization, virtual scouting, and so on. So we had to integrate everything. We had to make sure all the pipelines and the workflows are working. So we had the success in doing that. And after almost 2 months of sleepless nights, we had something to show to the world.
Okay.
And that's when we called the entire industry and we showcased how an entire content or a part of the content, to be precise, can be shot with LED walls, with single computer machine in one studio floor. So
Interesting.
no need of actors to go out on the locations. You come in, you shoot, you take home the content and you go. So it's a very seamless process for a content creator to complete. And that's how, that's kind of the brief story of virtual production.
Well, a virtual production for sure, we can talk about it for longer because it just goes on to show that there's so much to talk about it. But Priyan, since we are talking about a shift in the way we just shoot, in the way we produce content, in the way we consume content, which is what my next question is going to be about. There used to be a time when we as a family would sit together and watch shows on DD, and then it moved on to cinema halls coming in India. So then we went to the cinema hall together as a family, and slowly and steadily with time and with the time evolving and changing, everyone's watching on their own. They go to the theaters all by themselves, no longer with the family, and now we have OTT that has completely taken over our lives. Right. In such a way that now, even as a family, we have 4 different accounts. So we individually consume media in such different manner. Take us through that in your assessment. What really has changed? What has been this shift in the way we consume content? Take us through that a little bit. And if I may also add, what is the future of cinema because of this?
Absolutely. OTT, when it came, rather got pioneered with Netflix, I would say, in the initial days. Then we had multiple OTT players coming in the game. So OTT is a media where viewers got a choice to see their content on demand. And I would say that was the main disruption and the differentiating factor than watching a movie versus watching an movie on OTT, going to theater versus OTT. And OTT is something that like you can watch for yourself. But yeah, when you on the other side, when we say that human being is a social animal, we need gatherings, we need to have like social fun, and we need that experience, like a theatrical immersive experience. I still am of the opinion that theater does complete justice to a movie to be made on that scale. Now, coming to the narratives of the movie, things have been changing over the past few years, right from the pandemic. Now, because unfortunately we saw theaters also shutting down in that era, OTT gained more traction. But again, I would say the content making of the filmmakers also was completely OTT focused, because when a movie is made or when a narrative is made, it is pre-decided that it goes on OTT or whether it goes to a cinema. So end of the day, it's a complete choice of the filmmaker to whether put the content on OTT or movie. But let's talk about someone like Rajamouli making RRR. The ideology what he makes with, right, the cameras, let's say using the ARRI large format camera, the sensors are only selected in such a way that this content has to go in theater, and you can enjoy this content in theater. So again, as I coming back to the same point, that OTT has its own place and the film segment has its own place. Going forward, I really don't think that OTT would disrupt the film business much. It will go hand in hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it will go hand in hand. Speaking of Cineom's line of achievements, another one is that it is the only company that has all 4 certifications.
Yes.
Why don't you take us through and help us understand what are these certifications? Why is it important?
Right.
And the fact that all 4 is in your kitty.
Yeah.
So that indeed is a great recognition. But how has Cineom been able to achieve this?
Absolutely. So, see, again, at Cineom, we had maintained, like, the culture was more like a family. So the employees who have probably started with us from 2000 are still there with us. So that talks a lot about the culture we maintain at Cineom family. So obviously, when a company starts, certain processes are not aligned. But as we grew, as we adapted to the upcoming business environments, and we started taking on international projects, and particularly to name the few, we got on board Netflix, we got on board Facebook, we got on board HBO. So this international clientels, when they come, they always see a company who follows certain processes and have certain operational capacity. So in the whole event journey, we understood that we need to get certified on the standards and operational processes which are part of the business market. And hence we ended up setting up the processes right. We started aligning our all departments, right from marketing, logistics, business operations to sales, into a process driven workflow with ERP systems, with SAPs, with inventory management. And then we applied for the certifications, which namely are ISO 4001, ISO 27001, CMMI level 3, and obviously the ISO 9001. So this all certifications ensure that we have a certain process in which we operate, and these processes are validated and sanctioned by a governing body. So the governing body gives us the certifications, and we make sure we're capable of completing those processes, and which in turn gives us the ability to do better projects for our clients.
All right. And too technical, but thank you for explaining it to us. Cineom today is catering to a wide audience and a wide range of segments. And if I can just peep into my notes, that because there's so many, from the traditional broadcast, film and post markets, these segments include AV, e-education, digital services and IT. What is your assessment of the business generated in these segments at Cineom, for Cineom?
The business at Cineom has always been balancing. The media and entertainment industry, as we all know, was the only industry which survived very stable mode in pandemic situation. So this was the industry which didn't dip down in pandemic. It was quite stable. It didn't grow, but it was quite stable. So for us, we have 8 verticals at Cineom, as you name them. So it kind of always balances each other, I would say. If the broadcast business is low, film business kind of balances the other side. AV business comes up, the post business comes up. So there are always this transitional phases in the M&E industry. It's like a life cycle. Start with the camera sales to getting the end product. It all depends on what kind of environments are happening into the industry. So Cineom has always maintained the balance stage with the complete business life cycle, and I would really be proud of saying that for last 23 years we are always being a profitable company. I mean, not a single year we have booked any losses.
Well, touch wood to that. Priyan, how do you view, again, in your professional and personal assessment for somebody who is a pioneer in this field, how do you view the film and rental businesses in the market, the growth of this broadcast and rental business this year or in the last couple of years?
I mean, film business has always been there. It's like a dynamic curve, I would say, which goes on increasing linearly every year. I mean, in terms of selling the cameras, we prioritize at selling the equipments. We generally don't do rentals as such, but the rental providers buys the camera from us, and yeah, we have done really good sales for this year as well. So rental houses are completely packed with projects, and they have like a completely booked schedule for them. So it's going well.
And my last couple of questions before we conclude this podcast. You know that the Avis show is coming up this year. You have been, and Cineom has been a long-term associate, a long-term, what should I say, a ritual every year to almost meet the team and us. What is it that you look forward to this year, and what are some of the range of products, ARRI, that you plan on displaying this year? If you can give us a sneak peek.
Well, we generally like to reveal it at the show, but yeah, sneak peek would be this year would be interesting because we would be presenting certain new technologies out there in market, with the focus being on the AR VR, which is making the sound in the market. ARRI obviously is going to be a big part of the show. And yeah, let's just wait for the show to see everything up. And
so Priyan is not going to tell us what's in store for all of us at the Avis show with Cineom displaying its products.
Right.
Please share with us some of the biggest products that Cineom has launched and has, or maybe like in fact executed in the last couple of years.
So talking about the biggest projects in last couple of years, we have many to name. Rather, few of the largest projects in the industry are taken over by Cineom. Right from Netflix, which was a complete turnkey project to us, right from the build of the facility to technically handing over the facility to Netflix India, be it Facebook in that case, be it NFAI. So for the National Film Archival of India, Cineom with its partner Ultramedia has won the largest tender of digitizing and restoring the heritage film content of India. And that's really a big project for us. So that's been running for last 2 years now. Other than talking about that, we have come up with 2 new news channels, particularly one in Bangalore, Vistara Media, and one in Mumbai, Pudhari News. So this are completely 2 new news channels we have done, and that are also the large scale projects we have accomplished. Other than that, what we have done new at Cineom this particular year is that we have integrated our own team to do the MEP and CNI, so the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and civil and interior work we've undertaken under the umbrella of Cineom. So we then have the liberty to give the client a turnkey project. So right from the design stage till implementation, we are there with the client. So this is something new that has happened.
And lastly, Priyan, a message for Nuremberg Messe, for the Avis team. Like I said, every year we create this platform for people like you to come together, where great ideas and values are met, are integrated, and it is a great platform for exhibitors to meet other people. A message for the Avis team and for Nuremberg Messe for putting this up.
So firstly, a big thanks to the Avis team and Nuremberg Messe to organize all this and give us a platform, I would say, because If I'm not wrong, right from the inception of Cineom, right in 2000, we've been a part of the show. Starting with a small space in the show to having the largest booth of around 224 square meters to be precise in show this year. It's been a long journey for us, and we are truly grateful for the show to give us this opportunity to present ourselves. And I would be really happy to say that from the feedback of last year with the new location and the upgraded facility services, we have had that mark that people are saying that this show is near to something like an IBC.
Wow.
So that makes us really proud because most of our OEM partners are international brands, and initially in the initial days we were feeling that lack of service and lack of infra thing which was in a complete shape. But now with everything being perfectly done, BI show has been truly amazing and a very strong platform for brands like us to represent our technology and service to the M&E industry.
So you're looking forward to ABIS, and so are we. And do not forget to go say hello and meet Priyan
Yeah.
and team and the Cineom team at the ABIS show happening in Mumbai in October. So stay tuned to that. Priyan, thank you very much
Thank
for
you so
taking
much.
the time out on a busy Saturday for us and taking the time out to speak to us on the Nürnberg Messe podcast. Thank
Absolutely.
you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you.